So, my topic was secret in business. And I looked at that topic and I went, note to self, never say yes to speaking before you actually know what the topic is. Because look around the room. We got some really smart people here. Whatever can I tell you about running a business or being in a business that you guys don't already know? So I went, okay, what am I going to do here? And then I thought about it. And I thought, there is something that I need to share with you. And that's this. Don't create a business, create an extraordinary life. Extraordinary life. So, people say, yeah, what exactly does that mean? So I figured the only way I could actually explain that was to tell you what we did. We built a business and we built a life. So in 2000, early days of the web, we built a web CMS SaaS platform. It had 40 different marketing modules. You can think of it like Hootsuite. It was kind of the same gear. But of course in 2000, we were still trying to convince people to get an email account because, yeah, they were going to need it. They were going, nah. And we were saying, yeah, there is a thing called Google. You'll find out about it one day. And they were going, no, Yahoo. Anyhow, that's those days. In 2005, we were pretty successful. We had a ton of customers, things were going along, and then someone got up in a meeting just like this and challenged me. And they said, yeah, but are you creating an extraordinary life? And I went, yeah, of course I am. I'm creating a great business. Everything's cool. And then I went, yeah, maybe we should talk about that. What does that really look like? What am I creating? And why am I creating that? We had a young family coming and we were like, hey, what's that look like when we're pulling 80-hour weeks? Why are we having a family? There's some disconnect here. So, pivotal moment, which again confused people a lot, especially with what we did next. We picked up, we sold the business, sold our house, sold all of our stuff and said, you know what, we're going to travel around the world. So with a 2-year-old and a 7-month-old baby, we picked up. We bought RVs. This is actually our 4th one. But 6 months of the year, we'd travel around Canada and North America. The other 6 months, when the US or Canada kicked us out, we'd go to South America, we'd go to Europe, we'd just go hang out somewhere different. We took our kids around to show them things. They've spent one Christmas with Hill Tribe kids in Peru. They've spent, they've just had an amazing, interesting life. They've had an extraordinary life. And the cool thing is that my 13-year-old will tell you, my life has been extraordinary. And that's exactly what we wanted. So 2010, we got a little bored with not working. We were used to running a business. So we built a children's animation TV show. It's called Snapatoonies. As you do, what experience had we had? Nothing. What did we know about creating a TV show? Less than nothing. If we did, we'd have never done it. So that's why you do it. There was a thing called Google. So we Googled, what do you do? How do you do this? We asked questions. It sold it's been screened all over Europe, Middle East, parts of Asia. Jim Jam picked it up. We've won a ton of awards for it. Unfortunately, it hasn't been screened in Canada yet, but we'll get there one day. So by 2013, my kids were saying, hey, we want to settle down and we've picked where we want to go. We want to go to Canada. So it's like, okay, whereabouts in Canada? Well, Vancouver. There was really no choice. We were going to Vancouver. So we went, how hard can this be? So we applied and went, yeah, we'll have that. Knock it over in 2 years. Yeah, not quite. 4.5 years later. So building this extraordinary life doesn't come without challenges. We've been kicked out of Canada because we'd been here too many times. We've had some challenges along the way, but April 2017, we got permanent residency in Vancouver. Canada. Yes, my kids were even more delighted. One skis, one plays hockey. I got no chance of ever leaving here, but nor do I want to. So what are we doing now? Well, of course, it's time to start another business. So we started another business, it's called Virtro. But we're building a product called a Goshen. Put your hands up if you've ever tried to learn a language. Now, look around at all those hands. No, keep them up. Keep your hand up if you can hold a conversation in that language. Yeah, look around at all the hands. I've tried 5 times. You can put your hands down now. I've tried to learn a language 5, 6 times. I can speak Australian. And that's about the extent of it. I still can't speak French or Spanish. How can that be? So I started doing some research. 95% of all people that start learning a language fail. 95%. I felt good. I was like, I've contributed to something worthwhile. 95%. What really kicked us into gear was in summer 2015. We took the kids, we were going to Europe, a big road trip. We arrived in Croatia, it'd been a hot, dusty day. Kids were outside playing. We were talking to our Airbnb host, and he told us a story. And I need to share it with you, because it hit home to us. He was a professional soccer player who gave up his game for a gun. He was on the streets of Dubrovnik, Croatia, for 9 months, fighting to keep his wife and his 2-year-old daughter alive. 9 months he was out there. And here's the thing, he was telling us his story and apologising because his English was so bad. Here we were travelling the world going, we're going to all these cool countries, we're having experiences, we're going to learn about the culture, it's going to be so cool. And we've learned to say hello in your language and that's it? And you're apologising to us that you can't speak English? I bet all of you have said, I'm going overseas and I'm going to experience the culture. How do you do that without the language? We walked away going, you know what? We are never going back to Europe till we can speak some of these damn languages. And we haven't. So we're building a system. We are building a system. It's AI-powered. It's conversational language learning inside VR. So you put on your headset, you talk to AI characters. There's a couple of the handsome characters there. They all have back histories and names, so they're all interesting. You're going on a great big quest. It's going to take you probably about a year to get through it all. There's lots of mini games to do, but it's really cool. But what's that got to do with creating an extraordinary life? Well, here's my kicker right now. I'm at one of those decision points. I need to raise finance. I must get told 4 or 5 times every week, go to the US. Go to the US and get funds. You'll get money for this, no worries. It's a no-brainer. But then I stop and think, what happens when I get that money from the US? What happens on the second round? Do they ever get to tell me to move my business to Canada? And if I do move my business to Canada, move my business to the US, do I have to live down there? What does that do to my extraordinary life? It's not the extraordinary life I want, living in the US. If I did, I'd have moved here in the first place. So it doesn't help me it doesn't help me by taking away problems, but I can keep my focus on creating my extraordinary life, and it can help me make the decisions that I need to. Would my kids be happy if we moved to the US? No. So, when I go into the US to raise money, is it costing me? Is it creating more challenges? Yeah. But it also gives me the courage to bust through those challenges, to find ways to make it work. And it's not always easy, but neither's running a business. But if your end point is to create yourself and your family this extraordinary life, then it's worth it. Thank you very much.
Oh, there might be some questions though. There's questions. Any questions for our amazing speaker here just now? Can't see, the light is bright. Okay. Oh, there's one up top. Okay, I gotta come because the cameraman told me, hey, Rich, we can't hear you without. So I'm gonna run up here. You can hear me jingling with my key. Thank you.
So how are you planning to work around the US-Canada challenge? Because one of my co-founders is actually in the USA, so we're trying to figure out where to look for funding. So what are some of your strategies to figure out how to make your business work in Canada?
You know, I'd love to have all those answers myself. I don't know. I honestly don't have the answers. So I do have one answer, that it doesn't give me the life I want. And so we'll do whatever it takes. We're using grants and fundings. My founder, my wife, she goes and works 2 jobs. We pull extra stuff where we have to. We live on fresh air at the moment. won't always be that way. We'll find somewhere, some way, somehow to do this. But the key for me is that I can't all of a sudden change what we've created. We've been running this life now for a long time. Of every single decision has to, in some way, give us an extraordinary life. And my kids would call me. And in fact, now I've got 150 people who'll call me out if I ever move the business to the United States and go, how does that work? But yeah, I can't give you the answer. I don't know it, sorry. Yeah. But we will find a way, and so will you. Yes. We've got about 30 of the characters in the game working. We've got the spaceship. It's set in a spaceship. We're not after beta testers at this point. We're trying to start putting in the storyline. We're going to pilot in January. John Oliver Secondary School has agreed to pilot it, and the SFU Language Learning and Further Education Centre has, and we're reaching out to a school in Surrey. See, it also hits some of my other goals, and that's for social change. I am very tired of meeting people in washrooms who are cleaning the washroom and have a double degree in engineering, and they're there because they can't speak the language and they can't get a job. So they work there so that their kids have this extraordinary life and a chance to live in Canada or whatever country we're in. So, damn it, we've got to find a way to make this available to help those people. And I also want to make it available for tourists. You guys stop going overseas like I was and hearing half stories or missing out on the real stories. What would our world look like if we could communicate with these people, if we could talk with people and actually understand them and their culture? And our third pillar we stand for is I spent time working with Aboriginals up in the middle of Australia. And they have a whole lot of endangered languages. They have no written language. They literally do sit in the sand and draw pictures, and I've spent time doing that with them in their language, but there's no way to save that, nor is there for the Hill Tribe guys in Peru, nor is there for a lot of your First Nations. So I have to find a way to make our system smart enough to welcome them, if they choose, into our system as a way to teach their young people their languages. So there's a lot of social impact things that we want to do.
One last question up here.
Sorry.
And again, please don't ask a question without the mic because we won't get you on camera there. So one last question, gentlemen.
Can you tell us a little bit about your best-selling book?
Oh, do I have to? It was... my cousin had this website, and it was all about how to save money, and everyone kept telling her to write a book, and she wouldn't. And I said, oh, it's not that hard, just write the damn information. And she was like, and I said, give it to me, I'll just write it all. So I ended up writing it for her, and it ended up a bestseller. And so, yeah, it's called Cashed Up, Debt-Free and Laughing. There you are, I even remember the title. It's, thank you. But it was useful. We travelled for... we travelled for 7, 8, 10 years or something on the money that we had from the sale of the first business. So we were frugal. Thank you.